Excelência, Presidente, estimado Secretário-Geral, Your Highness, Presidents, Prime Minister, Ministers, my profuse appreciation to our gracious Qatari host for the generous hospitality in hosting this LDC summit in partnership with our very esteemed Secretary General. In these turbulent times, whose impact we all feel in varying degrees, I am pleased to share the good news that Timor-Leste is an oasis of tranquility, where political violence, ethnic or religious-based intolerance and conflict are completely absent. And ours is a vibrant, functioning democracy that delivers our people enjoying complete political, religious, intellectual, media freedom. We continue to strive to achieve greater empowerment of women, youth, and those in our society afflicted with disabilities. On May 21st, we will hold parliamentary elections. More than 20 political parties are registered. We have now 20 years of a robust track record of free and fair elections. We are still in the category of fragile and LDC status, but nevertheless, we share our experience and provided significant support, including financial, for electoral processes in Guinea-Bissau, São Tomé and Príncipe, and Central African Republic. Timor-Leste is an active founding member of the G7 Plus group of fragile states, which brings together sisterly countries in conflict or are in post-conflict and fragility. We have achieved significant progress in socio-economic development. At independence in 2002, our indicators placed us at the very bottom of the world. 2 in 5 people in Timor-Leste lived on less than 55 cents per day. Life expectancy was 57 years. We had high levels of maternal mortality and 43% of population was illiterate. Revenues from oil and gas allowed us to close some of the social and infrastructure gaps, with investments in deep-water port, expansion of our international airport, national and rural roads, schools, electricity, etc. This helped bring development benefits to the people around the country. Life expectancy increased from 57 to 70 years, and so many have of the socioeconomic indicators. We hope to conclude agreement soon with our joint venture partners to develop a major gas field called Greater Sunrise, with a pipeline to our shores to spur value-added industries like fertilizer plant and cheaper clean energy. Timor-Leste and other resource-rich countries cannot continue to be mere suppliers of commodities and remain hostage of predatory pricing by developed economies. The key focus areas of the Doha Plan of Action resonate with our strategic priorities. We believe that its implementation will drive the diversification of our economy, providing jobs for our young and increasingly educated population. I would like to address each of these focus areas from the perspective of Timor-Leste. 1. The LDC Report 2021, produced by UNCTAD, positively assess economic growth in Timor-Leste, calling it inclusive in both absolute and relative sense. It means that economic growth indeed reduced poverty and increased prosperity. However, disappointingly, around 42% of the Timorese population still live below the national poverty line. Fundamental challenges such as extreme poverty, child malnutrition persist. Despite modest oil and gas revenues, we need growth to translate into greater prosperity for the people. A healthy and more skilled workforce will be necessary for greater productivity and diversification of our economy. Since the start of my tenure in May 2022, I have strongly advocated targeting child malnutrition via way of strengthening government programs and mobilizing support from our development partners. Investing in human capital starts from the first 1,000 days of the child and preschool education facilities. Having completed demarcation of maritime boundaries with Australia, Timor-Leste's sovereignty extends over vast ocean resources, several times larger than our land area. Marine renewable energy, green port development, and sustainable marine transportation are also major blue economy investment opportunities in Timor-Leste. Community-based tourism can make use of our rich natural endowment, biodiversity, and cultural heritage. A study conducted by Conservation International in 2016 confirmed that the seas of Timor-Leste host the richest biodiversity in the world. We hope that the implementation of the Doha Programme of Action will help realize this ambitious vision, supporting countries undergoing green and blue transition with the latest advances in science, technology, innovation. Despite progress made since independence, Timor-Leste remains one among the world's most oil-dependent economies. Economic diversification is a long-term process. While investments in infrastructure are necessary, it is not the only path to economic diversification. As our body's economy cannot generate enough jobs, young people increasingly leave the country for seasonal programs abroad. Some progress has been made. Coffee became the largest non-oil export from Timor-Leste. While this experience shows that diversification is possible, much more needs to be done to achieve structural transformation. The government and development partners, including UNDP and KOICA, Korea, support programs on youth entrepreneurship. The government launched a soft loan scheme supporting young entrepreneurs. However, Timor-Leste and other developing countries continue to suffer from the extreme insensitivity of rapacious interest rates that are killers of our incipient private sector. We are also pushing the creation of special economic zones, and we look forward to collaborating with all partners to make them effective drivers of structural change. This year represents a watershed moment for Timor-Leste integration into regional and international trade. In 2023, or in the next year or two, we expect to be the 11th ASEAN member. It has been a long-time strategic ambition, important for our country's prosperity. We are forever indebted to our countries and neighbors for welcoming Timor-Leste into this highly reputable regional organization. In this context, Timor-Leste's status as a least developed country providing tariff-free market access is extremely important to attract foreign investment. Companies in the region are expressing interest in creating joint ventures. ASEAN membership will result in greater integration in regional value chains. In 2023, we will gain WTO accession. We welcome WTO effort to boost least developed countries' participation in the global value chains and hope that LDC status will bring opportunities and mitigate risks at the same time. Recent years have tested resilient countries around the world. COVID pandemic coincided with flash floods affecting thousands across our country. LDCs are disproportionately affected by the extreme weather events caused by climate change. The experience of recent years showed the fragility of our development gains, with a series of extreme events undermining and reversing progress made since independence. Least developed countries bear the brunt of climate crisis, and we are ready to be part of global efforts to find sustainable solutions. But we need genuine partnerships based on human fraternity. In 2021, Timor-Leste submitted its National Adaptation Plan to UNFCCC, aiming at building climate-resilient trajectory for the country and its people. UNCTAD 22 LDC report provides many practical solutions for risk-informed climate-resilient development, and I hope it can be the basis for learning and sharing among countries. In tackling multiple crises, we are not alone. I'm grateful to all our partners that provide support through technical assistance, budget support, vaccines, early warning, and the building community resilience. International partnerships will be key for the implementation of the Doha Programme of Action and to guide countries towards smooth graduation. Least developed countries have many opportunities to advance through trade, technology, and concessional finance. While LDCs stand to gain in the thriving global market, we also have a lot to lose in the context of trade wars and the violent conflicts. Recent years have been difficult for multilateralism. We welcome the Secretary General's initiative to establish the high-level advisory board on effective multilateralism. I welcome the focus of the Indian presidency at the G20 on the resilience in LDCs and SIDS, as well as efforts in this regard by the government of Indonesia during its G20 presidency last year. The cracks in global international order are growing wider. Bridging them is not an easy task, but being here gives hope and optimism in the future of multilateralism. High Representative of the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developed states. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since the introduction of the concept of least developed countries, the performance of this group remained limited. Implementation of the Doha Programme of Action gives us a historic opportunity to overcome the current predicament. This process is complex and requires whole-of-government approach. Therefore, my delegation includes key ministers that will be working on the smooth transition in Timor-Leste in close collaboration with all. Each country will need to have its unique path to graduation, appropriate to its specific circumstances. Nevertheless, it's also important to work together, sharing our practice and lessons in advancing collective action in the interest of the group. Advancement of the LDCs and eventual graduation is important to show that global development indeed leaves no one behind. The first transition we need to make is from ambition to action, and I hope that this conference will help us do just that. Thank you.